review before your test on Thursday, okay? So this is on OneNote. The solutions are there as well, and the solutions are also on Sector, okay? So the length now, if you ever see a multiple choice question, this works for all different subjects. You want to break it down and get rid of the questions which definitely don't answer it, and then be able to pick it down to being, instead of a 1 in 5 guess, it can be a 1 in 2 guess or something like that, or you just know the answer and you highlight it, okay? So a length scale factor, what's scale factor mean? K, okay? So length with K is equivalent to the ratio of two sides belonging to the same shape, the ratio of one pair of corresponding sides, the ratio of all pairs of corresponding sides, the change in length of each side, all angles and sides are equal. So when we look at scale factor, are all angles and sides equal? No, because similarity is about shapes which have changed, so I'd be going, it's not that one. The ratio of two sides belonging to the same shape. What's wrong? Oh, okay. The ratio of two sides belonging to the same shape. No, when we look at scale factor, we're looking at one shape, how it gets to become another shape. Okay, so it's not A. The ratio of one pair of corresponding sides. What's wrong? If you want to say something, say it loudly so we can all hear it, or don't say it at all. All right, so if, for example, that would mean that I've got this. Is it all about just that one side? No, so it's not that. The ratio of all pairs of corresponding sides. Yeah, it is. So that would, and the change in length of each side is not change in length, it's about ratio. So therefore your answer is C. You get 1 mark for C. So that's worth 1 mark. Calculate the scale factor for the following shape. So scale factor is K. How do we find K? We divide the second number by the first number. So for this case, K equals 9 divided by 3. So K equals 3. If you wrote it as a ratio, I will also give it to you. However, that number is a better answer. So if you wrote 1 to 3 in that order, then you could have got that as well. It's worth 1 mark. For the next one, pick whichever set you want. So the 4, what's the corresponding number for 4 in the other shape? Is it the 15 or the 20? 20. How can I tell that? That's the longer side, okay? It's the bigger number. If numbers are multiplied by K and they're similar shapes, the bigger number's still going to stay bigger. So they're the corresponding ones. I would really highly recommend, because it's all about similarity, you take in at least 3 different coloured highlighters to your test to be able to get those connections. All right, so you could have gone 4 divided by, sorry, no, not 4. We go 20 divided by 4, second number divided by the first number, which is 5. So K equals 5. Or you could have said 15 over 3 equals 5. So K equals 5. It's just worth 1 mark. Can you still write 1 to 5? Yes, or you could have written 1 to 5. However, it didn't specifically ask you for the ratio. It asked you for the scale factor. But, yeah. All right. I would rather you write what K is for that if it doesn't ask for a ratio. Now, this one here, what is K? It's not 2. How are we getting from the first to the second? We're timesing by a half. Second number divided by the first number. So K equals a half. That's where your mark is. This page, Jordan, stop. This page is worth 4 marks. Could you give yourself a mark out of 4 down the bottom, please? Or someone. Pardon? So if you wrote 2 to 1, that would be fine. As long as you didn't write 1 to 2. 1 to 2 is very different to 2 to 1. 2 to 1 is correct. But if you wrote 1 to 2, that's not correct. All right, next page. Now, this is where I think things get complicated with scale factor. You need to remember, okay, is length. K is about length. Area, if we're looking at the scale factor of area, what is it? It's K squared. If we are looking at volume, it is K cubed. All right, so when you're highlighting your questions, as all of you are going to do in your test on Thursday, you are going to highlight the word area. And you're straight away going to go, the word area in similarity means k squared. Straight away, you've got to go k squared, area, k squared. Okay, so the next one, when it says area, you need to go k squared. What about when it says volume? I want you straight away go k cubed. And hopefully that will get into your mind, okay? So area, k squared. Volume, k cubed. You're not doing, there's no measurement in this test. So if you get asked about volume, you don't have to go and find the volume using a volume formula, okay? If you get asked about volume, it's talking about k cubed. If you get asked about area, it's not asking you for an area formula where you're subbing in numbers, it's asking you for k squared. This test is on similarity. Look for the word similar, similarity, anything to do with that, and know that's in this topic. All right, so I'm sorry, I'm going back to A. I got off on a tangent. Use the following information to determine the scale factor K in each case. So it's asking you to find out what K equals. So if I have an area of an image, so I have like, let's just say a square, and when I make it bigger, it's times by 16. That's what that question is saying. So when I have an image, it's 16 times larger when I make it a similar shape and I make it bigger. But the area is 16 times larger. So what equals 16? Is it K? Does K equal 16? K squared equals 16. Now, if you write that, I'll give you a mark. Even if you wrote K equals 16, I'll give you a mark. Now, hang on. No. Now, if K squared, I really need you to stop. If K squared equals 16, what does K equal? The square root of 16, which is 4. That's your other mark for this question. If you wrote 16, I'll give you 1 mark. If you wrote K equals 4, I'll give you the second mark. If you wrote K equals 4 and you didn't write any of the other stuff, you still get both marks because it's only worth 2 marks. All right. The area of the image is 1/4. So make it I have this circle and we're finding this area. I then make it into this little circle and it is 1/4 of that shape. What equals 1/4? K squared equals 1/4. You can get a mark if you wrote that. Now, how do I find what K equals? The square root of 1/4, which is 1/2. 1/2 times 1/2 equals 1/4. K equals 1/2. Yes. Yeah, probably. I'd probably be nice. All right. The volume of the image, so volume this time means we've got like a 3D shape, is 125 times larger. Now, you don't have to draw these pictures. I'm just trying to make sense of it for you. It's 125 times larger. So what equals 125? K cubed equals 125. How do we find what K equals? The cubed root of 125. So K equals 5. Now, I'll show you why this works. If I had this cube and it was 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre, okay, the volume is 1 centimetre cubic centimetre. We're saying K equals 5. That means that all of these measurements go up by 5. We times the lengths by 5. But what you'll notice is as we make the lengths all 5, the volume becomes 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125 cubic centimetres. So K is the difference in the lengths. So us adding, like multiplying the lengths of a shape by that number. The K cubed is what actually changes in the volume because the volume gets way bigger because of that. Okay, so that's why this works in that way. K is 5, even though the volume increases by 125. All right, yes. Yes. That's fine. 1 mark, not 2. Yeah. All right, circumference. Now, I wanted you to see the word circumference and go, is that length, is that area, is that volume? The circumference of a circle. It's length, okay? So, therefore, K is just whatever the difference is. So, we've got a circle, which is the circumference is 15, to a circle where the circumference is 45. How do I find K? 45 divided by 15, so it's 3. That's only worth 1 mark. If you wrote 1 to 3, that would be fine. Okay, so for this one, 125 there. So this page was worth 7 marks. Can you give the person a mark out of 7, please? So 2, 2, 2, and then 1. Now make sure, I know in this spot quiz there's no marks allocated, but in your test there will be. Make sure you look at the mark allocation and realise that if it's worth 2 marks, there's usually 2 processes. If it's worth 3 marks, you have to show working. Question?
What if they put K equals 5 to 15?
No. All right, any questions on that page? All right, next one. Now, this question asks you about similar shapes. They're not triangles, they're just similar shapes. What do we have to know for things to be similar? To be similar, what do shapes have to have? So, all the same. All the same angles. Okay, so all the angles in corresponding sections have to be the same. So angles are the same. What about the sides? Sides in the same ratio. So you need to know that off the top of your head. You need to go, okay, if things are similar, any shape is similar. All the sides have to be in corresponding ratios. All the angles have to be the same. And if you're proving that, you need to actually prove all of those things. Now, in terms of this question, if anyone wrote, none of them can be similar because we don't know what the angles are, I will have to give you 2 answers because we didn't write this question well enough. Because can you see any of the angles in there? Nope, and therefore I can't prove it. So if you wrote that, did anyone write that? If anyone wrote it, 2 marks straight away, that's fine. However, we're going to assume that the angles are the same for this, just like I think all of you did. No, because that's for triangles. Okay? So in a test, we would make sure that all the angles are, for this, are actually shown so that you can prove both the angles and the sides. All right? So what we need to do is we need to look at each of the different triangles and we need to, triangle shapes, and we need to go, okay, sides, which ones are corresponding? So what side, if we look at A, B, C, for B, what side corresponds to the 4? 8, what side corresponds to the 4 for C? 6. And so this is where I'm saying different colours help, okay? So what side corresponds to the 10? 20 and 15. What side corresponds to the 6? 10 and 9. And I don't have another highlighter. And the last one as well, okay? So if you can break it down to which sides are corresponding, that's going to make things a lot easier. Now, we're trying to check whether all the sides have the same ratio. So if I look at A to B, we're going, okay, 8 divided by, if we look at K, 8 divided by 4. And then let's try a different one. So let's go 10 divided by, 8 divided by 4 equals what? 2. Okay, so that's 2. Let's try the blue ones, 20 over 10. What's that equal? 2. So it's looking all right so far. Okay, let's try the green one. So 10 over 6. Not 2. Okay, so therefore A and B are not similar. However, that doesn't give you any marks. The 6 is from the green over here, left-hand side. Okay, so we're looking at the different sides there. So A and B not similar. Now, that doesn't actually give you any marks because it's only asking you for similar. But you had to get to that point to be able to work it out. All right, so let's have a look at A and C. A and C, let's go. So 6 divided by 4 is 1.5. Is that equal to 9 divided by 6, which is the green ones? So hang on, so this is yellow. This is the green ones. So that is 1.5. Yeah, so still the same. Let's keep checking then. So let's go with the blue ones, 15 divided by 10. Is that the same? Yes, and the last one is 12.75 over 8.5. Yes, so A and C are similar. That will give you, I'll give you a mark for the working out. You need to actually prove it, and a mark for saying A and C are similar. Now B and C aren't as well.
And since it's only worth 2 marks, we shouldn't have to show.
All right, I'll give you a mark for A and C. You've just got to be 2 marks, but I will make sure that your test has determine why. Yeah, that will definitely in your test will have that. Okay. All right, if you wrote A and C, I'll give you 2 marks. However, you need to make sure you show why for any of those questions. All right, the following statements are true or false. All squares are similar. Now, thinking about similarity, the angles have to all be the same. The sides have to be in the same ratio. Are all squares similar? Yes, true. If you think about it, if you have a square and these sides are all 4 and these sides are all 5, the angles are all 90 degrees. The ratio is 4 to 5 for all of them. So A is true. B, all triangles are similar. No, because you could have 2 triangles with completely different angles in them. So therefore false. All equilateral triangles are similar. So equilateral triangles means that they all have 60 degrees for each angle and they all have the same side lengths. True. What about isosceles? False, because isosceles triangles have 2 of the same sides and 2 of the same angles, but that means that the actual angles could all be different between 2 of them. All circles are similar. All right, Bryce, can you move somewhere up the back corner possibly? I've asked you a number of times to stop talking. Move. All right, so all circles are similar. True. It's really only the radius which changes, so that would be in the same, it's a length which would be in the same ratio. All regular hexagons are similar. Regular means, what does regular mean? It does mean normal. It means all the side lengths are the same, and if all the side lengths are the same, all the angles are the same. So therefore, true. All right, triangles with 2 pairs of corresponding angles are similar. So that means I could have an angle here which is 60 and 70, and I could have a smaller triangle which is 60 and 70. Are they similar? Why? Because the other angle is going to be the same as well. So true, angle, angle, angle. Triangles with 2 pairs of corresponding sides in the same ratio. So I might say this is 5 and this is 10, and I might say this is 10 and this is 20. Are they definitely similar? Do we have angle, angle, angle? No. Do we have side, side, side? No. Do we have side, angle, side? No, because we don't know what the angle is. So therefore, false. And that is actually incorrect in your answer key, just by the way. All right, polygons with the same number of sides are similar. What's a polygon mean? No, that's a pentagon. Polygon, any shape, okay, but like you might say a hexagon or you might say but if we looked at a quadrilateral, which is 4-sided shape, a 4-sided shape is a square, but you could also have a 4-sided shape which is a kite. Are they similar? No, so therefore it's false. So that page is worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11 marks. Can you give yourself a mark down the bottom for that? All right, out of 11.
Let's just look at that bit. I didn't really. I like 7 points.
That's right. Yeah, because she's got the 1's 3 down the bottom. All right. Okay, as soon as you see triangles and you see similarity tests, what are the... Jordan, shush. Say again? So we're looking at SAS or what are the other two choices? AAA and SSS, okay? Not the other ones for congruent triangles. There are only 3. All angles? No, that's for congruent triangles, not similar triangles. I do need a lot of people to stop talking. As soon as you see similarity tests, I want you to think about these 3 tests. They're the 3 things you can use. Now, in this question, which is very different to in your test, you would be given, so in your test, you would be given letters at each end so that you can prove it. If it says use a similarity test, it means you need to prove that they're similar. Okay, so for this one, there's actually 2 different tests we could use. Can anyone think about which test we could use for these 2 triangles to show? Now, I can't use side, side, side because we don't know one of them. So we can use side, angle, side, and we can use angle, angle, angle because you know 30 and 60, sorry, you know 60 and 90. So therefore, you can also know that. Only if you get given 2 angles. Okay? So within... Girls. Within this, there are 2 different ways which you could have done it. Okay, if we used angle, 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 you would have needed to say, and because you didn't get given the letters, you could have said there are 2 angles, 60, corresponding angles are 60, corresponding angles are 90, corresponding angles are 30. If you got given the letters, which you will in a test, you can write angle A equals angle P, angle B equals angle Q, and angle C equals angle R. Now, you won't have that because you didn't have the letters. Okay, but it does say show if the 2 triangles are similar. We usually say prove the 2 triangles are similar. So then you need to do the sentence which is triangle ABC is similar to triangle PQR. In this question, because you didn't get given the letters, you would have needed to write in words the 2 triangles are similar. That's worth 1 mark. You saying the 2 triangles are similar and then showing that the angles are the same is worth 2 marks. I'll answer your question in a second. The other way is to say the 2 sides. So you could say the sides are in a ratio of, so AB to PQ are in a ratio of 10 to 5, which is 2 to 1. BC is in a ratio to QR of 17.3 to 8.65, which is a ratio of 2 to 1. You'll get 1 mark for saying both sides are in a ratio of 2 to 1. If you wrote that in words, that's fine. And angle, now you needed to make sure that you talked about angle B is equal to angle Q, or you need to say that the 2 angles were 90 degrees. You can't use the angle which is 60. Why not? Because it's not in between them. So if you talked about angle 60, you didn't get a mark. You needed to talk about the angle 90 because it's between the 2 sides, you know. AJ, question. If you wrote similar, that's fine. No, because they're not equal to each other. So because equals would be saying this triangle is equal to this triangle. They're not. They're similar to each other. That's what the squiggly line is. So either the word similar or the symbol needs to be used. So 1 mark for the triangle, the similarity statement. 1 mark for the angle, which is 90, and 1 mark for saying the 2 sides have a ratio of 2 to 1 if you use that way. If you use the angle way, 1 mark for the similarity statement, and then 2 marks for showing that the angles were all equal. Yeah, Josh. That's about congruent. Okay, so 1 squiggly line is similarity. Yes. One. So that question's out is worth 3 marks. Okay? So, pardon? I've just said this twice now. Guys, I need you 1 mark for the similarity statement, so saying they are similar. 1, if you're using side angle side, 1 mark for the 90 degrees, saying they're the same on both, and 1 mark for saying that two sides are in a ratio of 2 to 1. If you use the angles, 1 mark for the similarity statement, 2 marks for saying that each of the angles are the same and talking about them. All right, so the next one is actually in the same state. I'm going to mark it, I'm going to write it the way you guys probably would without the letters. So 1 mark for the triangles are similar. Now this question is actually exactly the same as the one above. You could use either angle, 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 or side, angle, side. So 1 mark for this, for both of them. So you could say angles are the same. And you need to actually say 35, 35, and 110. So there's your 3 marks there. Or two sides in the same ratio of 2 to 1. That's worth 1 mark. And the side in between, angle in between, is 35 degrees. That's your 3rd mark. Everyone okay with that? All right, last one. What for this page? What rule would we have to use for this one? Could we use angle, angle, angle? No, we don't know them. Could we use side, angle, side? No, because we don't know. Because we don't know any of the angles. So we have to use side, side, side. Now, actually, what I should have said is within that statement, you want to actually say angle, side, angle, side. Forgot to do it. And angle, angle, angle. So you need to actually say what rule you used.
If you don't, you get a mark there.
You could do. So, yeah, you want to make sure you do it right. All right, so triangles are similar. Side, side, side. Now, we should have probably checked this before because they possibly might not be. However, I already know that they are. If we actually look at the biggest number, let's highlight them. Okay, these are the corresponding sides. And we can say 10 over 25 and 8 over 20 and, 12.5 over 5. They all equal 0.4, no, I've done this around the wrong way. 5 over 12.5, it's better. They all equal 0.4. Okay, so all 3 sides are in the same ratio of 0.4. That would be your answer. Any questions? Pardon? Yeah, unless it tells you otherwise. No, so it's always how you get from the first one to the second one. All right, last page. What time does Belle go today? That page is out of 9.
Wait, if you wrote 2.5 to 1,
Pardon?
if they wrote 2.5 to 1.
Yes, that's fine.
Was that 3 then?
Yeah, as long as they wrote triangles similar. Okay, 2 minutes. We are going to run out of time, so I need you to listen up, please. I'm going to do this really quickly. Ratio has a scale. Now, if you're writing a ratio, it needs to be in the same measurement. So for this question, what you need to do is say, well, it goes 1 to 25, but I've got not 1, I've got 10.5 centimetres. I need you to stop talking now. I've got 10.5 centimetres, so I need to times that by 250,000. That gives me 2625000 centimetres because it will be in the same measurement. That will give you 1 mark. Your second mark comes from changing it to kilometres, which is dividing by, or is moving by 5 decimal places. So 26.25 kilometres is your second mark, that question. If you got that 26.25 kilometres, that's worth the 2 marks. It does specifically say convert to kilometres. If it says convert explicit scales into ratio scales, it's just saying actually write it as a ratio, which means that you have to have measurements the same. So if it's 1 centimetre to 300 metres, you need to convert the metres to centimetres. So we've got 30,000. That's worth 1 mark. 5 metres to 5 centimetres is 500 to 5. Now we need to change it to be out of 1. So we end up so that's worth 1 mark, but that equals 100 to 1, which is your second mark.
Can you do it to like centimeters, or like can you do it the other way?
As long as they're in the same, but you want to get it to 1 where possible. See how they all go to 1? So you can't really do it the other way because you're not going to be able to get it to 1. Okay, hang on. 3 to 6,000 equals 1 to 2,000. And 24 to 72 equals 1 to 300,000. So that's worth 7 marks in total. And then your last question is x equals 0.14 metres. The working out is on the page. And y equals 0.075 metres. Or you could have written it as 14 centimetres to 7.5 centimetres. Have a look at the marks I'm going to give you. So 1 mark, 1 mark. That page is worth 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11 marks. Could you give yourself a mark out of 40, or your partner a mark out of 42? I really, really need you